everything. Like even today, my tests are online. Everything's online, and I hate it. Like for when I did my placement exam going into Xavier for math,
Mm-hmm.
it was online. I
Online.
had to do math on a computer and write everything out on a sheet of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I could only use the calculator they had on the computer. Like, how am I supposed to use a calculator on a computer? And it just makes me so mad. It's like if I want to do math, I want pencil and paper
Yeah.
because I like Isaac Newton didn't do that. All these guys. The guy who invented calculus just that blows my mind away because how he found the exact numbers to do derivatives and integrals and sine and cosine tangent, I have no idea.
Well, if you looked at it,
And that's actually the thing. We don't study math. We don't study the origins of math. We don't read about math. We do math. And I would rather study math
right.
and know why 2 plus 2 equals 4. Like, know where that came from. Like, even though it's
Well,
basic.
even the theorems, the Pythagoras theorem, you had to know that this guy was a Greek.
Yeah.
And here he was thousands of years ago with sticks or whatever doing these theorems and calculations in the sand with a stick.
Yeah.
And I always, when I taught electricity, you can teach Ohm's law, but why is it Ohm's law?
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy by the name of Ohm, and he figured out this Ohm's law.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a law, and it works. And there was another guy, a guy by the name of Steinmetz. He invented the AC motors.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a little dwarf. He was a humpback dwarf.
Really?
But he had a very, very great mind. You also have the fellow that Brian likes. I can't think of it. It's
was he in calculus?
no, he
I was gonna say
he was the one that figured out all these. He could generate electricity without any wires and send power through the air. Oh,
Edison,
not Edison. It was
Tesla, Nikola Tesla.
Nicholas Tesla. Tesla was a great guy. He was way ahead of his time.
Do you think he was better than Edison?
Oh yeah. If you read about Edison,
He really didn't do anything.
Edison wasn't really smart, but he was tenacious.
Yeah.
He wouldn't give up.
Yeah.
When he made his light bulb, he must have had thousands of failures before he finally got it right.
And Tesla probably worked
And
all the way up and got it
He
right the
didn't
first time.
understand all the things. He had to work it out. He had to work it out by, which is nothing against him, other than the fact that he could have taken more time, and if he would have educated himself better,
Yeah.
it would have come easier.
Mm-hmm.
Anything comes easier if you do have some education. And I think when he started his Nela Park organization, he brought in people
Yeah.
and learned from them. So, and then stole some of their ideas.
Yeah. I mean, people probably, I know the family, we probably, look at you like, oh, his grandpa, he's a quiet guy, but our reality, you're really smart. You're smarter than what we know of.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, did you have like good grades during school? Or?
No.
No?
No, I was an average student.
Did you understand what you were learning though?
I did good if I liked what I was doing.
Okay.
If I
answer that question for you for your grandpa, I think your grandpa's just well read. Your grandpa never stopped studying his whole life.
Yeah.
Okay, being married to 57 years, he's taken courses while he worked in what he liked, like in electronics and everything. He never stopped. Even we were paying it in payments like $300, something like that. He would take a course and he just kept going. He's just well read, and he reads every.
And reading is something a lot of people don't do now.
Right, and that's why he's just very well read. That's what makes him so smart.
Yeah.
Well, honey, I'm gonna tell you how I feel. I want to answer that question for you.
Well, getting back to that subject too.
Because he's gonna tell you.
Is that my Bible?
Yeah. Yes, I'm looking at all these kind of stuff, but just going through it a little bit, like the angels and that kind of stuff. And
No, I don't know. I was just messing with you. I was just teasing.
Yeah, that's your Bible.
What about studying and schoolwork? Yeah, there were certain things I liked and there were certain things I didn't like. I didn't like spelling.
Yeah.
I had a hard time. One of the teachers in the first grade said that I wasn't learning how to read. I was learning how to memorize. So if I would see this page
Yeah.
and I'd memorize that page, well then I was memorizing. So they tried to break me from memorizing. Well, when you get into spelling, you got to remember.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now I'm not supposed to.
Yeah.
So I don't spell worth a damn. Thank God now with computers
Yeah.
and spell check, I can write. Otherwise I'm there with a dictionary and going through things, or I'm writing something and it's not spelled right.
Yeah.
And at this point I don't give a damn. But no, it was like that. If I had a subject, I like geography.
Yeah. I mean, you are a Navy man.
I like geography. I like civics.
What is civics?
Civics was government.
Oh.
Civics was what they called government. Uncle Joe Nudo was a civics teacher. He
Really?
taught civics, yeah. Yeah, he taught government. That's what he did in school, yeah. And basically, I guess they don't have that anymore, that type of course, where they explain.
Yeah, I mean, they have it, but it's like government for half a semester, and then they go to economics.
I'll see that you had a whole year when I was in school. They would tell you how the township worked, how the city works, how the state works, how the federal government works.
I mean, the class I was in AP government, which is a college level class, and they went through all that. I learned about pork barrel, I learned about gerrymandering, I learned about townships and stuff. But I learned that in order to take the test. I didn't learn it because
why
they wanted to teach it. Like why we do this.
Why? Yeah.
It was explaining what it is, kind of.
Oh yeah. Well, and then too, we learned that when we go in, how the precincts were set up.
Yeah.
That you had if it was a Democratic precinct, a primarily Democratic precinct,
Mm-hmm.
the judge for that sits there in that room when you go to vote is a Democrat.
Yeah.
And you got to have Democrats and Republican workers in there.
Yeah.
So it evens out, so it's fair. But a lot of people didn't, it just wasn't taught that. And the one thing that I think also that I've seen when I taught, they weren't teaching common sense in school.
They still don't.
And I'll give you an example. One of my kids bought a car.
Yeah.
And that was amongst all the kids. So I said to him, I said, well, you bought a car, okay. How much did the car cost you? And he gave me the price of the car.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, now, did you pay cash for it? No. I says, okay. You got a loan. You're paying so much a month. "Well, how much is that car going to cost you?" And the kid said, "Well, the price that I bought it." I said, "No, no, 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 no." So I put on the board how much he's paying per month, how many months he had to pay, and this is the price that you pay for the car. Oh, it was like a revelation. I'm paying that much for that car?
Double the
Didn't
price.
know anything about common interest.
Hmm.
It's not taught in school.
No, some of that stuff you either have to learn from your parents or just learn for yourself.
How to write a check.
Yeah, they don't teach that.
They
Yeah.
don't teach that anymore. You know, those were things that were taught. I had to take a course when I was in middle school of how to cook.
Really?
We had a home ec course that all the boys had to take home ec,
Not some kids. I mean,
and we had to take a course, and it was mandatory.
yeah, they
Yeah.
don't have that anymore. You have the option to take a cooking class your junior year, but you have to do it as like it's kind of like one of your core classes, and it's just weird. Like I'm fortunate enough where I was able to take a couple business classes in high school and learn about why I want to go into business in college and why I want to do finance because I like money. I like learning about interest rates and CDs and stuff like that. That interests me.
Right.
And it's not really there's math to it, but it's simple math. It's all just 0, 5s, and zeros, which I like a lot. And then there's you're electrical. You have the more like engineering type of mind in you.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, what was your favorite type of math going through school?
I liked algebra, and I liked solid geometry
Mm-hmm.
and trigonometry.
Did you ever have to take a calculus class?
No, they didn't hold that. They didn't have in my high school.
Really?
We didn't. That was strictly unheard of.
Was that more for college?
I don't think at that time it was even in college at the time. We weren't that higher up on math. You got to remember, we progress.
Yeah.
So we progressed when 60-some years ago, trigonometry was all you needed
Yeah.
to understand what was going on.
And it still kind of is, but I guess the reason we keep on doing harder math is to just keep your brain strong.
So that was about the only thing we had. And then my shop teacher wouldn't teach alternating current because to understand alternating current, you had to have trigonometry.
Yeah.
And in my class, it was a mixture of 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grades. They put us all together in the shop at one time. So he said, I'm not going to teach it because I'll teach direct current, but I won't teach AC because you don't have the math. Most of the kids in the shop didn't have enough math.
Mm-hmm.
So he just refused to teach it. So then when I got out of high school, after I took trigonometry,
Did you expect all these stories?
then I decided I wanted to learn
Then you pick and choose, huh?
some AC. And so I said to them, I says, can I go to the electrician mate A school at Great Lakes and plug me into the AC portion?
Yeah.
I know basic electricity up to the AC. Now I want to know AC because I got the math. Well, they did. And I went up there and there was a course in transformers, which I didn't have at the high school.
Yeah.
And it was all math. It was an all math, everything up there. In fact, I didn't bring a slide rule, which I should have.
Yeah.
But the guys that were going through, when I stepped into the class in the middle of it, they're there and they're figuring out the questions, and I'm doing it by hand and a book.
Were you successful at it though?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Were you one of the top in the class?
I was in the upper third of the class.
Wow.
When I went in there, when I reported aboard,